Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Venegoni.
And I'm Rachel Passig, and today we are going to be presenting to you our Cultural Perspectives project, and we did our project on the Amish people. So to begin, Jessica's going to start off by telling you a little bit more about actually what a cultural perspective is, and she's going to give you a little background information on the Amish people and how they came to be in America today. So I'm going to hand it over to Jessica.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. So before I dive into exactly Amish and their beliefs on death and loss, I'm going to touch on actually what is cultural perspective. According to the Indigenous Perspective Society, it is the way that individuals are shaped by their environments, as well as social and cultural factors, such as a person's nationality, race, and gender. So first we're going to start off by talking about exactly who are the Amish. The Amish are a group of traditionalist Christians who are part of church fellowships with Swiss and German Anabaptist origins. This began in Germany and Switzerland in 1693. Now, this is very similar to Mennonite churches, but it still has its differences. Jacob Aneman, he is the Anabaptist leader, and he is known to have started the Amish religion movement. In the early 18th century, many Amish immigrated to Pennsylvania. This was in about 1727. So we're interested in the Amish. We both found interest in this because they surround us here in Springfield and in the other communities that we've been in. So now I'm going to touch on attitudes of the Amish. The Amish believe that when someone has died, the person left the world physically to be with God in the afterlife. So because of this, there is no praying for the dead. They just believe once you're passed, you've passed. The attitudes that the Amish hold is that death is a part of life. It's an everyday occurrence. While this is very sad and they do mourn, it just is very simple, very matter of fact. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here and pass it along to Rachel, and she's going to be discussing some of the beliefs that the Amish have.
Yes. So yes, now that Jessica told us about the Amish people's kind of general attitudes towards death and loss, I'm going to go a little deeper into what really they believe about death and what some of their customs and rituals are like when it comes to death.
Awesome.
So to begin, the Amish people, everything that they do and believe regarding death, it all kind of ties back to how simplistic their religion and their culture is. So when it comes to death, like Jessica said, they believe that as soon as you die, a person is either with God immediately or the opposite, kind of in a hell type position. So it's kind of like a heaven or hell. So that's a little different from some other Christian religions where people pray for the dead after they die and kind of pray that they get to a better place in the afterworld. The Amish people kind of believe once you die,
that they're already there.
They're already there. There's really no point in praying for them. Nothing can really be done. So that being said, after someone dies, it's a very quick process, which is kind of different from kind of what we're used to.
With our
Christian
and
beliefs, Catholic beliefs. So when it comes to the Amish people, the whole ceremony, funeral, burial process kind of happens within 3 days of their death. So it's kind of right off the bat there. So when a person dies, the kind of first step that they have is the preparation. Most Amish communities do believe in embalming of the bodies. This happens in the deceased person's home. Their family is actually gonna get them ready for their visitations and their funerals. So their family is gonna dress them. They don't do makeup, by the way. That's not part of the Amish
very simplistic,
religion.
No makeup.
Very simple. And when it comes to dressing, the deceased person is gonna be dressed in all white. very simple. And to me, this kind of ties back to when they're born and when we dress babies in all white. And it's just kind of that purity and that simplicity kind of symbolism there. And then similarly to what we see kind of around in our society and our culture, the Amish people that attend the visitations and the funerals, they will wear black, but the deceased person is wearing white. Side note, close relatives of the Amish people in some communities will wear black every day for an entire year after their loved one has passed away. And that is a way to show their grieving and their mourning, because it's kind of frowned upon. It's not socially accepted in the Amish community to outwardly express emotion in grieving. So the wearing black, that's just one way that they can symbolically express that. Yes, since they, going along with that, like at the visitation and everything, it's kind of not accepted to be crying in a really big wreck. And this really made me think, especially because they are preparing their loved one's body in their home. Just personally to me, that just shows their strength, because I can't even imagine having your close loved one being
in your home,
preparing him yourself in his casket, and then they'll do the visitation in the home. So their friends and family will come to their home, and
the friends and family will bring food over, but gifts are not tolerated or accepted.
Yes, that is true. And in the same way, flowers aren't a thing at the funerals and the visitations. Again, goes back to the whole simplicity thing. Gifts are a no, but like Jessica said, food is accepted. And then after that in-home visitation, commonly there is like a community meal, and that will also be in the home. So that is kind of the first step. And then I am going to backtrack a little bit. Just kind of a fun tidbit that I thought was interesting is that some women will be dressed in their wedding cap that they were married in, which is also white, for their funeral in the casket. So I just thought that was an interesting point that I read online. So the second step, after you prepare the deceased person for the visitation and you have the in-home visitation, the second step is actually going to be the ceremony, the funeral service. So when the funeral service happens, they normally have a religious sermon said by a religious leader in the community. And then sometimes they will also sing Amish Christian songs. But again, during the service, everyone's kind of expected to just keep composure, no real outward signs. Everyone's wearing black. And that's kind of just how that portion of it goes. And then the third step is going to be the actual burial. This part is interesting and relates a lot back to the Amish community, because they will be transported to the burial site in their wagon pulled by a horse. Their casket's in the wagon, kind of the traditional Amish thing. And then their casket is carried by 4 close family relatives.
The pallbearers.
And they are laid to rest in a hand-dug grave, which again, just really researching this stuff just made me think how in our society, at least, you always see typically, the big machines digging out the graves. And if you can just even imagine digging out a grave with your bare hands, I just think it's interesting.
It's very personal.
Very personal. So once they are buried in their resting place like that, aside from their family carrying on and mourning, that's kind of going to wrap up the whole process when it comes to death. That's going to wrap up the customs and rituals portion of it all. So we hope that you learned something about the religion, the culture,
the people,
and
their attitudes,
their beliefs towards death, their beliefs towards deaths, and their customs and rituals.
So thank you for
Thanks
watching.
for watching.